Okay, Venerable Brother, Dhamma friends, we are going to start the second Dhamma discussion. So we have received a couple of questions and we'll start the session with written questions.
Avasara Bhante, we have received 7 reports today. Yeah. Report number 1, Theruvan Saranai. The sensations I noticed when walking was the texture under my feet, the simultaneous movement of lifting and placing my feet, and of course the busy nature of my mind. At one point I could feel only the sensations without labels or thoughts. This was common with the sitting meditation as well. Venerable Bhante, I was wondering whether during that moment of silence in my mind, should I bring my mind back to noting my sensations with words such as left foot, right foot, or should I allow my body and mind to just feel? Theruvan Saranai.
Yeah, the second option. So you already have used the noting, left, right, some sort of such noting, and later let it fade away, and you don't need to use it now, and just keep a quiet mind, but with some penetrative, investigative type of attitude. So the point is, the mind has to be free from any inner chatter, but still looking sharply what's really happening there. Say for example, there is a movement happening, maybe a pain happen, maybe vibrations happen, but you have a quiet mind, no inner chatter, and still focusing attention to that particular place where the pain is, where the sensation is, where the vibration is, and looking at, searching, examining what's going on there with a silent mind. So that is the level that we are expecting. So in order to reach this, you need maybe left, right, or lifting, moving, placing. All that are just tools to come to this. That silent examination, silent investigation is the time you are building up the energy, building up the wisdom. So anyway, if anyone needs to participate, please feel free to participate. So we are continuing one after the other.
Report number 2. This has walking, sitting and day to day.
Yeah.
So Avasarai Venerable Bhante. Walking meditation. Started by noting left, right, and after a couple of rounds dropped the noting. Felt different sensations arising and passing away with each moment. Mind was generally quiet. Few times some strong past memories were relived quite vividly. Was able to shake them off as thoughts, as mere thoughts. Observed that the body had reached to these thoughts. Observed that the body had reacted to these thoughts. Example, heart rate had increased, shaking of the head, walking action had stopped, and sweating. Watched the body calming down and recommenced walking meditation.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it depends on your practice. So at the beginning, you are not with sharp mindfulness. So what happens is these thoughts rise to a certain extent, then only you start noticing them. Without much of your knowledge, they are increasing, they are coming to some level, then only you are noticing it. Otherwise, you are not noticing. They are very subtle, but they are growing. So once you notice them, there is a certain amount of bodily changes have happened. So your little bit of burning is there, maybe a little bit of frustration is there. So likewise, certain impact is now being felt. Even though you have stopped, that impact still remains and it will ultimately slowly disappear. So it will take some time. But the advantage is as you continue your practice, so you will be able to understand the thoughts, so whatever the feelings, at its very early stage. So then the impact will be very limited. So even though there is a certain amount of impact, it will be very limited to the mind. And even once you establish mindfulness, that little thoughts or whatever the feeling or emotion also will disappear, and the impact also is almost like negligible. It also quickly disappears. So therefore, for the time being, you need to just bear with it and just be patient with it. Just allow it to happen. I mean, at a given moment that you know that okay, there is certain amount of emotion is there, certain amount of defilement is there. Apply your brakes, establish mindfulness. And then slowly you are free from the thought, free from the emotion, but still some influence is still remaining. It will slowly disappear. Just be patient with it. Yeah.
Sitting meditation. Sat outside on a cement block straight after walking meditation. Mind was well concentrated, focused on the breath. After some time, felt as if there was a vast gap between the breath and the observing mind. Breath was short. Out-breath was more evident. Could see the end of the out-breath and the gap before the start of the in-breath. The gap was a void, dark, deep and wide. Continued this way for some time. The breath flow became very faint. When I opened my eyes, I realized I had been in this state for about 20 minutes, although I felt it like an hour. Other activities. As I am a day yogi, I went home last evening. Had a couple of friends come over for dinner. I noticed how the conversations was unfolding, and most of it was on predictions and plans of the future. Eventually, I felt so relieved to have had the good fortune to have heard yesterday's Dhamma sermon, as I had a glimpse of understanding on how consciousness was operating. As a result, I was able to silently participate in the banter without getting involved. Theruvan Saranai.
Good. So one thing actually I like to elaborate a little. So at the beginning we are trying to be a mere observer to the breath. So sato asa sati, sato passa sati. You are merely knowing it is in breath, you are merely knowing it is out breath. Not trying to struggle where to figure out where it is touching or what's the behavior or whether it is cool or warm. That's too much. So just introduce mindfulness, just try to establish mindfulness using the breathing and keep it very simple. Don't introduce some unnecessary, difficult task. Just use the breathing to merely establish mindfulness. Later you may understand, okay, now mind can maintain mindfulness for quite a long time. Say about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Continuously you are with the breath now. Say 10 breaths continuously, 20 breaths continuously, 30 breaths continuously, 50 breaths continuously. So I am giving rough figures to give you an indication. So likewise you can assess your own progress. So how long I can maintain my attention continuously without much distraction, how long I can maintain. So then you will understand, okay, there's a certain improvement in my practice with respect to the mindfulness, with respect to the concentration. Even the distraction happen, you might not involve too long outside. So typically what happened at the beginning, you may easily get distracted and you don't know when you have been distracted. And again, the time period also very long. You spend about, say, for example, assume that you spend 10 minutes in the distracted state, completely forgotten that you have to come back to the breathing. Later you'll be reminded, okay, I have to come back to the breathing. Okay, you come back, then you restart. But as you improve, so the time you spend in this proliferation become less and less. It may be, say, 5 minutes, it may be 4 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute. So likewise, that proliferative time, the distracted time also become less and less. Other interesting thing is, you might even notice when the mind is shifting. Say your primary object is breathing. So while you are trying to pay attention to breathing, assume that you hear a sound. So your mind get sort of distracted, shifted. Even that shifting you can notice. So under your, say, purview, so it is shifted. Not without your knowledge, but under your knowledge. So you are very well aware, okay, mind has shifted from the regular, say, mindful breathing. Now, even while the mind is involving with this, sound or whatever, still you know that. Knowingly you are there. Not with the breath, but with the sound, knowingly you are there. So now you can return back to the breath easily. You don't need to struggle. So that means the complete, being with the primary object, shifting to the next kind of an alternative object, being with that, coming or returning back, re-establishment, everything happened within the mindful space. So this is an improvement. So don't think it is a kind of a distraction as per se. Now, even though the object has changed, you are maintaining continuous mindfulness. It is true that your concentration has little reduced in the case of, say, samatha point of view, But still you are maintaining continuous mindfulness even though the object has changed. No harm. So you can return back, be established back in the, say, mindful breathing and continue it. So likewise, you can further and further enhance this capacity. So even the first thought, away from what you desired, may be able to notice. So likewise, the improvement may happen. So you are more and more aware of what is going on within the body, within the mind, maybe understanding your emotions and maybe even letting go to the minor feelings, etc. So everything happens under your scrutiny. So likewise, you are really self-aware of the whole process. Not only the bodily processes, even the mental changes, various shifts, everything you can notice. So this is how it's evolved in this happening. So if you are coming to that level, that means that you are fully aware now. Kind of a monitoring process is going on and you can monitor what's really going on. So you can know, in case, assume that you are in a kind of a troubled situation. So how mind is reacting, how you get agitated, how your mind being, become somewhat anxious. That can be noticed now. So you know that now the mind is anxious. I was in a calm, cool mood, but now it has become agitated. Now it has become a little tensed. So you can feel the tension. You can feel the stress. So that would be much healthy state rather than, fully being stressed out and being a victim of that stress and blasting the others or something like that. So that is where we become fully ignorant. But here, you are fully aware, okay, now the mind has shifted, it has agitated, I am know about it. So certain amount you can, bear it, you can cope up with it, rather than trashing away, trashing the others. Right.
Report number 3. අවසරයි ගෞරවනීය ස්වාමීන් වහන්ස. සක්මන් භාවනාව. සක්මන් භාවනාවේ යෙදෙන විට මාගේ අවධානය දෙපතුල වෙතට යොමු කෙරුණි. එහිදී පුංචි පුංචි වැලි කැට මෙන්ම වෙනත් රළු බොරළු වැනි දේ පාදයේ ස්පර්ශවන ආකාරයත් එය පය තියෙන වේගය අනුව අඩු වැඩි වන බවක් දැනුනි. පාදයේ ඔසවා තබන වේගය අඩු වෙත්ම සිතෙහි සංසුන් භාවයේද වැඩි බවක් දැනුනි. යම් අවස්ථාවල සිත මේ ක්‍රියාවෙන් පිටතට ගිය බව දැන නැවතත් ඒ ක්‍රියාව කෙරෙහි සිත පිහිටුවා භාවනාව කරගෙන ගියෙමි.
චුට්ටකින් මේක හැබැයි පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මම දන්නේ මේ ලියන කෙනා එහෙමද කරේ කියලා. දැන් සමහරු ගාක් මේ හිමින් සක්මන් කරනවා. කියන්නේ හරීම නිකන් අර ඉබි ගමනින් සක්මන් කරනවා. අනිත් එක පාදයේ දිහා බලාගෙන සමහර වැටෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. මොකද තනියන්ඩෙන් ඉන්නවනේ සෑහෙන වෙලාවක් නේද? වැටෙන්නත් පුළුවන් බැලන්ස් එක නැති වෙලා. හැබැයි ඒක නෙමෙයි බලාපොරොත්තුව. ඒක නෙමෙයි නිකන් සාමාන්‍ය වේගෙන් සක්මන් කරන්න. සාමාන්‍ය වේගෙන් සක්මන් කරද්දී හැබැයි මනසේ අපි හදන්න ඕනේ පුදුම ක්‍රියාශක්තියක්. නැත්නම් හරි ක්‍රියාශීලී බවක් ටට්ටක් ගාලා මේ තොරතුරු ටික ගන්න. නැතුව අපි නිකන් අර ඉබි ගමනින් සක්මන් කළා මේ පාදයේ ඔසවද්දි කොහොමද වෙන්නේ, ගෙන යද්දි කොහොමද වෙන්නේ, තබද්දි කොහොමද වෙන්නේ, මෙහෙම අර ස්ලෝ මෝෂන් කළා ගන්න එක නෙමෙයි දක්ෂතාවය තියෙන්නේ. අපි කොහොමද මේ සාමාන්‍ය වේගයෙන්ම සක්මන් කරද්දී ටට්ටක් ගාලා මේ තොරතුරු ටික අපි උකහා ගන්න. එතනයි අපේ දක්ෂතාවය තියෙනවා. එතන ඒකට එන්න අපේ මනසේ පුදුම ක්‍රියාශීලී බවක් එන්න ඕනේ. අපේ පුදුම මනස පුදුම විදිහට ඇක්ටිව් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නිසා හුඟක්ම ස්ලෝ සක්මන් කිරීමම නෙමෙයි ඔතෙන්දී ටෙක්නික් එක ක්‍රමේ සාමාන්‍ය වේගයෙන් සක්මන් කරවන්න සමහර පුරුදු වේගයෙන් සක්මන් කරන අතරේ බලන්න මට කොච්චර තොරතුරු ටිකක් මේකෙන් පික් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? කොච්චර තොරතුරු ටිකක් මට මේකෙන් ට්‍රේස් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? එතන තමයි දක්ෂතාවය. ඉතින් අපි ඒක පුරුදු කරන්න මුලදී අමාරු වෙයි. ඒකයි අපි ඔය ස්ලෝ කරන්න හදන්නේ. මේක ඉක්මනට තොරතුරු ටික පුළුවන් තරම් තොරතුරු කහා ගන්න අපි අපේ ක්‍රියාවලිය පුළුවන් තරම් හිමින් කරන්න හදනවා. නමුත් ඒක නෙමෙයි අතරම වෙන්න තියෙන්නේ. සාමාන්‍ය වේගෙන්ම අපේ මේ ශරීරය ඇවිද්ද වද්දී පුළුවන් ද අපිට ඉක්මනට මේ තොරතුරු ටික එළියට ගන්න. ඒකට උත්සාහන්ත වෙන අමාරුයි හැබැයි. එතන තමයි අපේ තුල නිකන් අර මනසේ හරි ක්‍රියාශීලී බවක් ඇති වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙඩිටේටිව් මයින්ඩ් කියන්නේ මේ නිකන් අර ලෙතාජික් මයින්ඩ් එකක් නෙමෙයි නේද? අපි නිකන් අර හරි ඔතෑණි වෙච්ච, නිකන් කම්මැලි වෙච්ච, බෙල්ල කඩන් වැජිච්ච එහෙම එකක් නෙමෙයි මේක අපි කතා කරන්නේ. හොඳ ඇක්ටිව්, හොඳ ෂාප්, පුදුමාකාර ෂාප් ගතියක් තියෙනවනේ අපේ මනසේ. අපි මේ පුංචි හිතන්න පුංචි පොඩි වේදනාවක්, සංවේදනාවක්, පුංචි සිතුවිල්ලක්. ඊළඟට මේ කයේ අපි ඔය කියන ධාතු ලක්ෂණයක්. මේවයිද අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ ඊටම සියුම් ලක්ෂණ. ඉතින් ඒ දේවල් ඊටාම අනිත් එක ඒවා වැඩි වෙලාවක් තියෙන දේවලුත් නෙමෙයිනේ. ටක් ගාලා ආව ගියා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දෙයක් ඊටාම මේ නිවැරදිව අඳුන ගන්න නම් අපේ මනසේ තියෙනනේ පුදුමාකාර ප්‍රෙසිෂන් එකක්. පුදුමාකාර නිවැරදි භාවයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේමයි හරි ඉක්මන් ගතියක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අරමුණ යන්න කලින් ටක් ගාලා එතෙන්ට අවධානය යොමු කරලා ඒකේ අරමුණේ විස්තර ටිකක් බලනකොට ඔන්න එයා ගිහිල්ලත් ඉවරයි. හැබැයි අපි දක්ෂ වුණා ඒ තොරතුරු ටික ටක් ගාලා උකහා ගන්න. ඉතින් ඒකයි සක්මනේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම. ඒ වමනා කරන කුසලතාවය අපිට ලබලා දෙනවා. අපි ඇවිද්දෝන අතරේ මේ ටික බලන්නේ. පාදේ මෙතන තියප දැන් නෙමෙයි දැන් ඊළඟට තියන්නේ. ඉතින් එතකොට අපේ මෙතන තීච්ච අවධානය ටක් ගාලා අපි මාරු කරන්න ඕනේ මෙතෙන්ට. ඉතින් ඒ අභ්‍යාසය අපිට ලැබෙන්න හිතන්න ඊට පස්සේ අපි විපස්සනාවක් කරන්න ගියාම අපි දන්නේ නැහැ මුලින් මේ කයේ කොහෙද මේවා පහළ වෙන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි අපි අතනින් ගත්ත මේ දිනු කරගත්ත මේ කුසලතාවයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කුසලතාවය දැන් ඔන්න අපිට මේ කයට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ටක් ගාලා ඕන තැනක එනවා. ඉතින් එතෙන්ට අපි හිත තිබ්බා. ඒක බැලුවා. අනිත් එක අර අපේ මුළු කයේ ඕනම තැනකට දැන් මනස නිකන් ලොකේට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. නිකන් පොසිෂන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔන්න ඔය හැකියාව ඇති කරගන්න. ඒ නිසා හුඟක් හිමින් සක්මන් කරන එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් සමහර තැන්වල කරනවා. ඇත්තටම දැන් බුරුමේ පණ්ඩිතාරාමේ අපිට ඔක කියලාත් දෙනවා හිමින් සක්මන් කරන්න කියලා. නමුත් එතනම නෙමෙයි පොයින්ට් එක තියෙන්නේ. අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ අපි තුල නිකන් පුදුම ක්‍රියාශීලී ගතියක්, මනසේ හරිම ෂාප් ගතියක් හැදිලා එනකොට මේ සාමාන්‍ය වේගෙන් සක්මන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි පුළුවන් තරම් ඒ තොරතුරු රැසක් සහිතව. නැත්නම් ඉතින් අපිට මේ භාවනා කරනවා කියලා මුළු ජීවිතේම slow down කරන්න වෙයි. ඒක මුලින් කියනවා SMS දානවා නේද? slowly mindfully silently කියනවා. නමුත් එතන slowly කියන එකෙන් අදහස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ අපි මේ මුළු ක්‍රියාවලි සියල්ලම මේ හිමින් කරනවා කියන එක. එතන තියෙන අපේ අර කලබලකාරී ගතිය අඩු කිරීමක් එතන තියෙන. නිකන් අපිට අර පිස්සු ඇදිලා වගේනේ අපි දඟලන්නේ. එහෙම එකක් නෑ. නිකන් අර one after the other යනවා වගේ ගතියක් එතෙන්දී අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ. නැතුව මේ slowly කියන එකෙන් අදහස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි අපේ මුළු ජීවිතේ කරන සියලුම ක්‍රියාවන් දැන් ඉතින් හිමින් කරනවා කියන එකක් නෙමෙයි එතෙන්ද අදහස් වෙන්නේ. ඔව්. ඕකේ. චුට් ඔන්න මයික් එක දෙන්නෝ. කමන්නේ.
ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ දැන් ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ දැන් කියපු දේ ගැන මම 100% එකඟයි. මොකද මම මගේ පුරුද්දක් තියෙනවා මම සක්මන් කරනකොට සාමාන්‍ය විදියට සක්මන් කරන්නේ ඒ සාමාන්‍ය කිව්වොත් මං ස්විං එකක් ගන්නවා අතේ. මොකද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඇවිදිනකොට ස්විං එකෙන් තමයි බැලන්ස් එක එන්නේ. ඒක නැතුව ස්විං එක නැතුව අර මම දන්නේ මම වැරදිද කියලා මේ අත් දෙක පිටිපස්සට තියාගෙන හරි ඉස්සරහට තියාගෙන ඇවිදිනකොට self conscious ගතියක් එනවා. ඉතින් ඒක
self conscious ගතිය.
ඕ නිකම් මේක මේ තමන් ගැන නිකම් මේ මං කියන්නේ උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ ඇයි සක්මන් කරන්න බැරි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඇවිදින වෙලාවට. ඉතින් පාරේ ඇවිදින්න බෑනේ මෙහෙම පිටිපස්සේ තියාගෙන හරි මෙහෙම තියාගෙන ගියාම එතකොට දන්නවා මේ අමුතු විදියකට ඇවිදින්නේ කියලා. ඉතින්
නෑ ඕක මුලදී කියන්නේ මොකද අර අත් දෙක මෙහෙම පැද්දෙනකොට අර දැන් මුල් කාලෙදී ඒක පවා පොඩ්ඩක් මනසට පොඩි වදයක්. මනසෙන් ඒක පවා පොඩ්ඩක් මනස එහෙට මෙහෙට හොලවන්න උදව් වෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒකයි පොඩ්ඩක් අර මෙතෙන්දී අපිට පුළුවන් ඒ හින්දා එක්ක ඉස්සරහින් තියාගෙන නැත්නම් පිටිපස්සෙන් තියාගෙන ඔක් කරන්න. පස්සේ හැබැයි අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. පස්සේ සාමාන්‍ය විදිහට සක්මන් කරන්න එතෙන්දී අර කිව්වා වගේ අත් දෙක පැද්දෙන්න පුළුවන් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ.
ඒක තමයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ මට දැනගන්න උනේ මට පැහැදිලි කරගන්න ඕනුනේ අත් දෙක පැද්දෙන එක වැරද්දක්ද කියලා. මම නම් කිසිසේත්ම ඒක ඉඩ දෙනවා අත් දෙක පැද්දෙන්න. ඒකෙන් මට ස්විං එකක් තෙන්නේ වැටෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. පේනවා ටිකක්. මේ ඉතින් අර බිම බලාගෙන යනකොට මේ ඒක අමුතු විදියකට ඇවිදින්නේ කියලා හිතෙනවා. ඉතින් මං හිතුවා මම වැරදිද දන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද හැමෝම අනිත් විදියට ඇවිදින්නේ.
අවධානය කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ?
අවධානය තියෙනවා.
නෑ අවධානය කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ?
අවධානය දැන් අර විදියටම සාමාන්‍ය ටිකක් වෙලා ගියාම මේ කියන්නේ දකුණු වම් දකුණ කියලා පටන් අරගෙන ඊට පස්සේ මේ වැලි මේ ඒක තේරෙනවා වැලි ගතිය, තද ගතිය. ඊට පස්සේ ටිකක් වෙලා ගියාම ඒව එන්නේ නැහැ. ඒව නෝට් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඊට පස්සේ
ඒතකොට මොනවාද නෝට් වෙන්නේ?
නෝට් වෙන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ මට නෝට් වෙන එකක් තමයි මට දැන් මට නෝට් වෙන එකක් තමයි පඩිය පාදයේ තියෙනකොට එක විදියට නෙමෙයි පාදයේ තියන්නේ. දකුණ තියලා වම අදිනවා. ඒක මට දැනෙනවා. ඉතින් මම ඒක අමුතුද කියලා බලලා ඒක එනවා. මම ඒක අමතක කරන්න බැලුවොත් ඒක එනවා. දකුණ පයයි වම අදිනවා. දකුණ පයයි වම අදිනවා. ඒක නිකන් අර ඉස්කෝලේ අර මේ ලේසු කකුල කකුල කියනවා වගේ එකක්. ඉතින් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එහෙම ටිකක් ගියන් පස්සේ මේ නීස් වල ඇතුළ දැනෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ තව ටිකක් ගියාම දැනෙනවා මේ අර මේ
හොඳයි. යන්නේ හොඳයි. ඒතර මනස නිශ්ශබ්දයිද දැන්?
මනස නිශ්ශබ්දයි.
හොඳයි. හරි.
ඉතින් අර මූවමන්ට්ස් ටික හොඳට මම සැඩි කරනවා. ටිකක් වෙලා යනකොට ඇතෙක් ඇවිදිනවා වගේ පැද්දෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ ඉතින් ඒ වුණාට මනස නිශ්ශබ්දයි.
හරි. යන්නේ හොඳයි. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට ඔතෙන්දී ඒ කියන්නේ අපි එකිනෙකනාට එක එක જાතිය තොරතුරු ටිකක් එළියට එන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මනස සංසුන්, නිශ්ශබ්ද මනසක්. ඇතුලේ කතාව සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නතර වෙච්ච මනසක්. ඒකයි එතන ලොකු achievement එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි ඒකට මේ ලොකු විපස්සනාවක් කළා නෙමෙයි තාම. මේ අපේ මේ සරල අභ්‍යාසයක් කරහා මනස පූර්ණ නිශ්ශබ්දතාවයට පත් කරගෙන ප්‍රපංච සම්පූර්ණයෙන් සමනය වෙලා දැන් හැබැයි ෆුල් තනිකර කයත් එක්ක ඉන්නවා. කයේ දැනෙන සියලු සියුම් දේවල් දැනගන්න අපි උත්සාහ කරනවා. සාර්ථකයි. ඔහොම කරගෙන යන්න. හොඳයි හොඳයි.
පරයන්ක භාවනාව මුලින්ම පහසු ඉරියව්වකින් වාඩි වී සිටියත් දන හිස් මත අධික වේදිකාවක් දැනුණත් ඒ තුල වේදනාවක් දැනුණත් ඒ තුල සිත නොපිහිටවා හුස්ම ආශ්වාස ප්‍රාශ්වාසය කෙරෙහි යොමු කර ටික වේලාවක් ගත වෙන විට දන හිසේ වේදනාව පහ වී ගොස් ඇති අයුරු දැනුනි. සිත සංසුන් වී සිතුවිලි ධාරාවක් වෙනුවට ඉඳ හිට එන සිතුවිල්ලක් කෙරෙහි සිත යොමු වූවත් ඒ ඔස්සේ වැඩි දුර නොයා සිටීමට හැකිය. තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
හොඳයි යන විදිහ හොඳයි. ඔහොම කරගෙන යන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට මුලදී සිතුවිලි ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා. මේක කියවනවා සීමාවක් නැහැ කියලා. පස්සේ හැබැයි ඒක නිකන් බෑග්ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකට යනවා. ඒක නිකන් මේ දුර්වල වෙලා යනවා. ඉතින් එතකොට එච්චරම ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි. අපිට අපේ වැඩේ කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ පැත්තේ ශක්තිය වැඩි වෙලා නැත්නම් සතිමත් භාවයේ ශක්තිමත් බව වැඩි වෙලා අර ඇතුලේ කතාව දැන් නිකන් බ්ලර් වෙලා යනවා. ඒක නිකන් දුර්වල වෙලා යනවා. යන විදිහ හොඳයි. ඔහොම තව දිගට කරගෙන යන්න. එතකොට තව අර ඒ අපේ දැනෙන ආනාපානයත් එක්කම තව ඉන්න ගනීවි. සෑහෙන නිශ්ශබ්ද මනසකින්.
Report number 4. Dear Bante, walking. Felt roughness of the mat. Felt cold also when walking on rocks. No thoughts. Happy mind. What should I supposed to do after this Bante in terms of Vipassana?
The next part, you have any part?
Sitting. Did Metta Bhavana first as my mind gets sharp and calm after doing Metta Bhavana for 15 minutes. Started doing Anapanasati with counting up to 10. Focused only on Sati Nimitta. Thoughts came. Example, to do jogging with kids after 5 a.m. Identified that as Kama Chanda. Thought disappeared. But I was into that thought for some time. Why Bante Kama Chande always wrapped with nice colorful thoughts? Then mind settled. Breath was so subtle. Felt happy. Day-to-day activities. When washing cup, felt coldness. Drinking tea, felt hot nature. When touching the spoon, felt hardness. I purposely thought my body also consists from Patavi like a machine. That's all, Bante.
Okay. So the first part, actually in the first section, can you read that the very first part?
Walking. Felt roughness of the mat. Felt cold also when walking on rocks. No thoughts, happy mind.
Yeah. Now that point, so you are having no thoughts but still happy. The mind is little joyful. So now you can start the investigation because now mind has come to a very, very attuned stage to do Vipassana. So now mind, you don't need any kind of noting now. You don't need to say left, right or anything right now. Keep the mind very quiet, still happy, no verbalization. And now see what's really going on. So have a little additional investigative type of a quality. So what's really going on? So foot is touching. What is really going on there? Which part is touching first? So what type of sensations are there? So you might have heard about already these elements characteristics. So what are the characteristics of the Patavi Dhatu? Say the hardness, softness, roughness, smoothness, heaviness, lightness. So these are the very subtle intrinsic type of characteristics that we are trying to recognize. And again the movements, vibrations, those are other air characteristics. Right, we call it the Vayo Dhatu. And then the Tejo, that means the heat and the cold. And maybe sometimes you might be able to recognize some fluidity or flowing nature which comes to the Apo Dhatu. Now these are very fundamental characteristics. So are you able to recognize at least some of those fundamental characteristics while your mind is quiet? So this is the challenge now. This is the second stage. So trying to recognize all that subtle aspects of the whole process. What we call, we are now stepping into Dhatu Manasikara, stepping into elements meditation. So you need to do that. So rather than simply enjoying this, that happy, joyful type of lighter type of mind, now you need to make use of it to know all this information. So that is where we are introducing the, what we call the, penetrative kind of wisdom or Yoniso Manasikara, all that are necessary. Everything else is quite good.
Now, from now onwards, all about consciousness. Report number 5. Dear Bhante, Part 1. As the consciousness and wisdom are conjoined, what is right out of the following? 1. Consciousness is a part of wisdom. 2. Wisdom is a part of consciousness. What is the big topic? There are 2 and 3 also.
One more, wait. Actually, yesterday's Dhamma sermon is based on that. So we have discussed about the consciousness aggregate. So that's the question actually Venerable Mahakottita is asking from Venerable Sariputta, whether the Vijnana is completely separate from the Panya, the wisdom. Is the consciousness completely separate from wisdom, or are they have some relationship? Are they conjoined? And the answer given is that they are conjoined. And then he is asking, what's the difference then? Why are you introducing two things? So the answer given is that you need to develop wisdom in order to fully understand the function of consciousness. So here the consciousness, as we discussed yesterday, so that is where we are born with, that is where we are dealing with, experiencing every time. So to know its function separately is very, very difficult. So main, main function of that is distinctly knowing some kind of a activity or some kind of a quality, distinctly knowing. Amidst many other things are available, so you are paying particular attention to something, you are selecting something and then knowing it, cognizing it. So this is the function. So your question is so where the wisdom is, where the sort of is the wisdom included in consciousness or the consciousness included in wisdom? So they are very much like collaborating each other. So if you don't have much wisdom, you are simply surface touching is there. You are not penetrating. You are not looking deeply. So the attribute of wisdom is the one encouraging the mind to look at deeply, look at penetratively, rather than simply doing some surface touching. So the wisdom aspect is therefore necessary to promote the consciousness to go deeper in that sense. Even though it is capable of distinctly knowing, recognizing, now as a result of introducing the penetrative wisdom part, so now it's going deeper and looking more deeply what is there, something like that. Just to give a simple example, now say when you are looking at a person, so you simply see what she or he is wearing, simply the clothes. So how he is showing the face, or is he laughing, or is he fair, or something like that. Just the surface we see. Mere Ayoniso Manasikara. But once you introduce a little bit of wisdom, so it will see deeply what are the expressions, what are the facial expressions, what are her attitude, what she is looking at, can I read her emotions. So likewise you are looking from a different angle now. You are introducing more penetrative kind of way of looking at. So likewise, so the consciousness has the capacity to distinctly know, but to what extent? That depends on the introduction of this wisdom. The other thing, Vitakka Vichara are other, say, we can say some supporting chaitasikas. So consciousness is more into mere distinctly knowing, and to Vitakka is another aspect where you are landing your mind onto a particular object. Say I have several objects here, Now I have to select this one, and now I am landing my attention to this. So that's called vitakka. And once I landed there, now I am investigating that. That is the vichara. So vitakka, vichara they are the supporting qualities of the mind, cetasikas, to properly do the function of the consciousness. We can say they are collaborating each other. I mean, it is not that the consciousness alone doing the whole thing. So all these cetasikas are helping the consciousness to do its function properly. So the manasikara is there, you are paying attention to it. Vitakka is there, so that you are lending your attention to that. Vichara is there, you are investigating that. The wisdom is also there, so you are penetratively knowing that. So all are kind of a collaborative task that we are doing. So anyway, so the more you practice vipassana, so you may understand the true nature of different phenomena, and then your consciousness completely change to, rather than say tangled in anything, now you want to untangle yourself. Previously there is something you are interested and you are looking at it, say more detail with more information, so your mind is there, fully there, taking more and more information. At the beginning it is necessary, but later you, as a result of the vipassana practice, now mind withdraws from it. Mind doesn't want to do it. Mind doesn't want to pick signs. Rather it likes to take a rest. So it's disengaged from the process. It step back and allow the thing to happen, and you step back and just mere observer without interfering, without associating that particular object with taking nimittas, taking signs. You simply withdraw yourself and just continue like a mere seeing. Seeing is there, but kind of a mere seeing. Now you are not there picking signs. Ditte ditta matta. So, I mean, it is not a mere kind of restraint, but as a result of the practice, the mind is slowly start to doing that. So we can discuss this maybe today's Dhamma sermon. So these are the kind of changes going to happen as we continue the practice. Yes, yeah. Wisely? Wisdom. So I feel that in order to perform the function of the consciousness, the wisdom has given some support. So rather than consciousness alone functioning, isn't it? So it seen that clearly, wisely, correct. So that's why the terms like vijanati, pajanati. So the vijanati is the distinctly knowing part. Pajanati is you are knowing it comprehensively, knowing totally. So because of the influence of the wisdom, now you can see deeply with more detail with all aspects. Pajanati. Yeah. Yes. No, fine. Please take the mic. Yeah. Mic.
This is in relation to what Swami Vahanse's Bana Deshana yesterday.
Yeah.
I found it very interesting, very thought-provoking. What made me think, what was provoking me was, I was thinking of this concept of when you watch a drama, you have what is called willing suspension of disbelief.
Sorry?
Willing suspension of disbelief.
Suspension of disbelief.
Now say if you watch Singhabahu, I mean, you are willingly suspending the fact that this is not actual Singhabahu, but you need it in order to...
Willingly suspending what?
Of disbelief.
Disbelief.
Willing suspension of disbelief. It's used very freely in drama. So what I'm saying, but what made me, it was very thought-provoking because it gave me you gave me an insight into that. Because when you say consciousness and there's wisdom, is this an intermediary phase? where you're willingly suspending, but you can switch off. You can switch off. You can suspend the disbelief and come to reality, but then it's on your wisdom. But for a moment you indulge in the suspension of disbelief because you want to enjoy the drama and take the message of the drama also. But then you are ready to drop it. You know it's not true. The wisdom tells you it's not true. And also coming to another small point, when you're acting, I have a little experience in acting. If you want to act well, you have to act the part, you have to live the part.
Exactly.
And you have to also see your part from the point of view of the audience. If it's a very subtle balance. If you see too much from the point of view of the audience, you're overacting.
Correct.
But if you do it with you're overacting if you go too much into emotions. But if you're going too much from the point of view of the audience, it is very, it is not natural. So it's a subtle balance. But in order to keep the subtle balance, there's something that, I don't know what you call it. It's again sort of some kind of wisdom that keeps you're aware, but you're also not aware. Sort of you have to get into the part and you are not aware. But you get out of the part, you are aware. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Sorry.
Rajinata enda kiyanne neda. So you are being the queen, but you are not the queen. By the way.
If you get too much the queen, you are overacting.
Exactly.
But then you don't believe, you don't relate to that role. But if you act that subtle balance,
correct,
you can. I don't know with going off the thing, but it made me think a lot. It was very helpful. Thanks. Sorry to take so much time. I won't talk about it.
And there's another question, Chandrika Vanaya.
Swamin Wahansa, now when you're meditating and when you're in this signless state, whether you're walking or sitting, do you consciously turn into Vipassana or you're in this state? So how do you, because even in that, Lord Buddha has said, no, don't be too much in this signless state also. So
no, that's why, now we are talking signless, by the way.
Which that is samatha, is it?
Sorry? No. Yeah, the thing is, in order for you to come to signless, you need to go through the proper Vipassana process. So you have to develop a fair amount of mindfulness, you have to develop some amount of focus, attention, concentration, and then you have done the proper investigation of various phenomena for quite a long time. It depends on the yogi, by the way. So, and then slowly, mind withdraws from the process, and now various processes are there, but mind doesn't want to get involved. Ultimately, mind stops taking the signs, and now the mind frees, basically. Frees in the sense, free from all the attachments, and now it's enjoying some sort of freedom. So here, not picking any signs, what we call as the animitta or the signless. So while you are there, assume now you are trying to increase the time period while being sitting, how long I can maintain that. Say again you practice Vipassana, you arrive this signless state, okay, you simply dwell there without doing anything for say 5 minutes. Say you collapse. Next time again you practice Vipassana, again you uplift yourself to the signless, again you dwell there say 10 minutes. Again you collapse. Again you practice Vipassana, again uplifted, signless, say 20 minutes. So likewise you have to slowly extend this time period. Then what happens in the mind is this state being registered. You know that I can jump to that. So why do I need to again and again practice this Vipassana part? Not necessary. So you recognize, okay, this is a possibility in the mind to simply be there, simply plunge into that. So in order to happen that, you need to anyway have to practice, then only you are able to uplift yourself to this signless, released, non-grasping state and simply dwell there for a long time. Then you can say, okay, now it is possible, it is there, I can be there. Now you get into the walking and see, can I quickly jump to that without doing any Vipassana? Now you can simply jump to that. Now it is very much like samatha. Because you are trying to expand the result now. You are trying to be or dwell in the result now, not giving much support coming from the wisdom, because the wisdom is already very much like there. So your mind is very much like strengthened with the wisdom, endowed with the wisdom. so that you can maintain it. Something like that. So while you are walking with signless, you have to be effortless also. Rather than effortfully holding your mind not to take any signs, okay, you just open it. Let the signs come, let the mind pick the signs if necessary, but you are very sharp. You can quickly recognize it, okay, slowly abandon it. Another thing, quickly recognize it, slowly abandon it. So likewise, that is where the maturity happens, that is where the expansion happens. So allowing the mind to freely move, rather than restraining it strictly. So allow the mind to freely move, but knowing it, exactly when it is picking a sign, okay, you know it, recognize it, drop it. Let it go. And again, you are back in the emptiness. You are back in the signless. So likewise, you are kind of hardening the process, case hardening, like something case hardening kind of a process. Further and further, you are expanding that capacity. And Vipassana happens only when that shifting time. So you are very much enjoying kind of some other practice. The shifting happens. You notice that. Now you don't need it because you know it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, unself. So you can apply whatever the knowledge there. So you do that and then it is being dropped. You back here. Drop back here. Very much like dwelling here as much as possible.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Please, there's another question. Yeah. One more. Silent mind, a signless mind. We can't say so. Because thing is, your mind can be silent while your mind is engaged with something also. So even in the samatha practice, say you are completely, assume now you are practicing, say walking meditation. So your mind is fully taking the signs of the, say, your sensation. Mind is silent. Even though the mind is silent, mind can pick the signs, isn't it?
Yes.
So the signless mind, even not taking the signs.
Right.
So that's why it's completely, it has to be spacious. So there is nothing in the mind in that sense.
So if there is like the space and darkness and that kind of thing is
More into signless. More into signless.
Right.
Because mind is not occupied at all.
Right.
Mind hasn't taken any signs, any marks,
Yes.
any images, any traces of your experience to the mind, but mind is maintaining its clarity
Yes.
without any signs and also silent.
Yes. Thank you. Thero answer.
Yeah, good question by the way.
Some more parts in the same question. I'll read all together, Bhante. How does thinking affect wisdom and consciousness? How does knowledge influence wisdom and consciousness?
How does first one? Thinking?
How does thinking affect wisdom and consciousness?
Yeah, 1 second. Thinking. Now actually the thinking might be helpful. You know that in terms of the wisdom, so we are talking of 3 levels. Sutame jnana, chintame jnana, bhavaname jnana. So the Sutame jnana is where we gather some knowledge from the Buddha and he has, preached Dhamma, and so we are using his guidance. So that is necessary. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So there is a lot of information he has already shown us. Okay, this is the information, this is the way it is. So you are getting some help from that teaching. And then the Chintame jnana is what you have gathered. Now you are logically reasoning and you are trying to further understand. So that is also convincing. To convince yourself, okay, this is what really happening, this is how it is working. So you are ready to do the proper, practice. Chintame jnana also contributes in that sense. But the real experience happened at the bhavaname jnana level. So the experiential knowledge level. So all what you have gathered, all that information now you can apply here, you can simply taste it. Very much like that. So now just to give a simple example, now say various fruits are there. Assume that you are not aware of an apple. How are you going to pick an apple? So someone has to tell, okay, the apple looks like this, it is this color and this shape. And okay, now you go there and there are many fruits available. Now you select this kind of apple. That is a learned information. So that is necessary for you to properly know it. But And the knowledge is there, the taste about it also. Okay, apple looks like this and it tastes like this. Have you tasted it? Not yet. You only pick the apple. Now you better eat it, then only you can taste it. So that is very much like the Bhavanamaya Jnana. So previously all that coming from as a guidance, not yet experience, by the way. Experience happen at the Bhavanamaya level, at the experiential level, at the meditative level. You experience what Buddha has taught. So therefore, all are quite contributing to each other. Suttamaya Jnana is also important, Chintamaya Jnana also important. The critical thing is the Bhavanamaya Jnana. So you are into direct touch. Yeah. This next part, something mukadda yattino. Knowledge. So same thing. Yeah.
Ante, in the retreat of the previous month, you just mentioned, within bracket, not explained, the influence of language on human consciousness. This is well addressed when languages are used as media of instruction. Could you please explain how languages contribute to human consciousness to construct vijnana and whether it is positive or negative to shorten samsara?
I think it is not shortening, but in lengthening samsara. So we as human beings introduce languages, conventions, signs, marks, many things. So that's a really beautiful verse uttered by the Buddha in Meghiya Sutta. Samidhi Sutta. So Akkeya Sanjino Satta Akkeyasmin Patittita Akkeyang Aparinyaya Yogamayanti Machuno. Akkeya Sanjino Satta. So these people are very clever in naming things. So you are naming many things. You are naming, right? So everything. Can you name everything? Anything within this premises which has no name? Everything has a name, right? Everything has a label. You can give many little names, little labels. Now all we accept like the knowledge, isn't it? Everything that is what the huge libraries are available. All are knowledge, all are labels, all are signs, all are gathered information. So we are very clever in that, adding labels to all our either experience or either to this physical phenomena. So adding labels, adding a tag. Akkeya sanjino satta, akkeyasmin patittita. So your thinking is based on that. Can you think without a label? Can you think without a concept? Impossible. You try. So what you think is, in order to think, you need all these different labels. You need all these different concepts. Without concepts, you can't think. So in meditation, actually, still we use certain amount of concepts, labels, but with a very bare minimum. And later that also let go and keep the mind quiet without thinking. Now you don't need label. You are not using labels now. So the language are dropped. You are not using any mundane type of languages in your practice. So you still can know things without a language. Very interesting. So we don't think our meditation is so deep in that sense, isn't it? So you don't need a language to know the direct experience. So so Buddha says, Akkeya sanjino satta akkeyasmin patittita akkeyang aparinyaya yogamayanti machuno. But the issue is, we forget that they are mere labels. For us, those become very real. Say, for example, what is this? Clock. If I dismantle it, what is it? Various parts, right? Various parts are there. We assembled in a particular order, and then we have given the label, it is a clock. Now, now, as I said, so more and more thinking, more and more proliferation, all your imaginations, all your fantasies greatly involve all these labels, names, tags, names, the different conventions. And you don't know how to keep them aside, keep the mind silent. And all the conventions keep to mere conventions rather than taking it so serious. So we are trying to add value to conventions. We are adding additional value to conventions and we are taking them so serious. So you are giving a name to a rod. We have taken this example. So we are giving a name to the rod, and if someone want to change the name of the rod, so you can go against it. You are giving a name to the school. I heard something is going on nowadays. So the new government want to change the name of the school. So some people can go against it because we are adding more value to the name. We can't simply know. Okay, it's just to distinctly, because say we have 1,000 schools. So how to know them separately? So we are naming them, adding a tag. So why are you attached to that tag? So for us, the tag is very real. The name is very real. The label is very real. So we don't know how to abandon it. How the mind to be free from the tag, free from the label, free from that convention. So for us, the convention has become really, really real. Akkayasmin patitta akkayang apariññāya yogamāyanti macchuno. So Buddha says, so they being trapped in these conventions. They being trapped in these words, names, signs, marks. They are trapped. So we are continuously going on and on in the samsara because we are unable to penetrate these tags, these labels. Yeah. You can say so. Yeah, the knowledge part actually has the more information, more tags, more labels, giving names, etc. Wisdom, as you said, it's more into the penetrative level. So you can even penetrate the names. You understand its relative value, and once it is done, you keep it aside. You have no conflict with it, isn't it? You can use it, but if it is not necessary, you can keep it aside. So Buddha actually opens our eyes, isn't it? So he's showing, okay, this is the pragmatic value of the label, pragmatic value of the convention. Just keep it to that level. So don't take it so serious, thinking there is some inherent character or inherent essence in it. Don't think that there's inherent essence in it. There is nothing there, nothing substantial. But for us, there is something very substantial. So these are very interesting, by the way. That's why, the Vipassana actually taking us to a new reality, new domain for us to look back, look at from a different angle. That's why Vipassana. Vipassana means that you are looking at things from a different angle, from a new angle, which you have never used. We are used to that traditional, conventional angle, taking things as so real and so compact, not knowing what is the inside, not penetrating, and just taking the superficial value and attached to that, taking it so hard, grasping it. But the penetration, that wisdom actually helps us to see the reality, and then naturally mind will drop it. So you don't need to teach the mind to drop it. It will drop it. So today, very beautiful incident happened. So our Kabral Mahatya came running to me. Bhante, no thoughts, Bhante, no thoughts. So his mind has stopped. So no thoughts. So he is complaining, Bhante, no thoughts, no thinking, I am just watching, nothing's there. So it's like a panic, like an accident. So just enjoy, just please be there. Just be silent, be quiet. Come back home. Just be. Yeah.
The last one, Bhante, number 7. Theruvan Saranai, dear Bhante, In discussions on consciousness, within bracket cognition, sita, danima, chitta, mano, the following are important to network: intelligence, attention, wisdom, thinking, recognition, curiosity, perception, addressing memory, motivation, creating interest, knowledge, construction, information, processing. Intelligence is measurable and wisdom is not so. Buddhist philosophy closely links wisdom with consciousness. Information processing and knowledge construction are also well discussed in terms of developing ahara. Section 1. How is intelligence weaved in consciousness in Buddhist philosophy?
One moment. Can you repeat the question?
Same. How is intelligence weaved in consciousness in Buddhist philosophy?
Yeah. No, that's another thing. Now, actually intelligence, so typical terminology of intelligence that you are intellectual and you are intelligent. So one thing is, are you meaning the wisdom? Or are you merely knowing, referring the gathering of a lot of information and you being a knowledgeable person? You know, these are two aspects. Wise person doesn't necessarily mean you are a knowledgeable person, as you know that many subjects you know. One person can be a person with lot of knowledge, lot of subjects, information, but not having wisdom. That's a problem. I'll give you a simple example. This is available in the Dhammapada. I can't remember the verse, by the way, the Dhammapada Attakatha. I don't know whether I have mentioned that. There is one monk, and he's an Arahant, by the way, but he know only one verse. And he preached that, and while in the forest, and the deities keep on sadhu sadhu, keep on sadhu. I mean, they recite sadhu sadhu very loudly. Once that preaching is over, just one verse, by the way. And then that is being heard by the other monks, and they want to test it. But the people who came to test, they are also monks, but they are, really knowledgeable persons of the whole Tripitaka, and they started long preaching with lot of information, lot of Abhidhamma and this and that and all that lengthy information, and they then after hours of preaching they completed, but no sound, no sadhu sadhu. Why? And then they complained, okay, these fellows are really, even though they are deities, so they are stupid. So, and they complain back to the Buddha, and they say, okay, I mean, Bhante, we preach so much of Dhamma, they haven't appreciated it, they haven't even say sadhu sadhu, but I heard, and I challenged the other monk, okay, you do it now, and he simply uttered the same single verse, and they did the sadhu sadhu. It's very unreasonable. And then Buddha say, even though he's preached one verse, he's living to it. He's there. He's embodying it. You guys are knowing all information, but all are surface knowledge, superficial. So that's what has happened to the Buddhists. So they know a lot of information, they know Patissamuppada, they know Abhidhamma, they know Vinaya, they know all the precepts. My goodness, they have read so many books, they have a PhD in Buddhist studies, this and that, but keep at least 1 minute on breath. Very, very difficult. So we are not tasting the Dhamma. That's the problem. We are not tasting the Dhamma, we are simply superficially touching the Dhamma. So I gave a beautiful example, it came automatically. So Dhamma is very much like a detergent. Say you are giving some amount of detergent. So assume that you have a unclean, really dirty cloth. What you do, you put the detergent to the cloth and you wrap it and you keep it. Are you taking the purpose of the detergent? Say you have a dirty cloth. Someone is giving you some detergent. Okay. So what you do, you put it into the wrapper, into the cloth, and you wrap it, fold it, and you keep it safely. So what's the purpose of the detergent? So wash the cloth. So wash the cloth and make it clean. Then you make use of the detergent. So what we do to the Dhamma is very much like that. So people are simply gathering information and simply keeping on the surface, not using it to purify the mind. So Buddha's task, or the encouragement is to purify the mind using the Dhamma, not to gather. Say that's the encouragement, that's the advice. Kullupamang vo bhikkave dhamman desissami nittaranattaya no gahanattaya. Monks, I am teaching the Dhamma as an example, as a simile to the raft. It is to cross over to the other shore, not to grasping, not to holding. So today people are, especially Buddhists, since it is widely available, they gather more and more information, and your mind is really filled, full, overflowing with information, but not experiencing. Quite pathetic in a way. But when we are teaching to another religious person, so they are curious, they want to practice, they want to taste it. So we need to understand what has happened to us. Because gathering information is one thing, applying that and practicing and tasting it is completely another thing. So we need to understand that. That's why Suttame Jnana is necessary, but if you are not practicing it, if you are not living up to it, no use. Just a library. So I have the phone, whole Tripitaka is here. I quickly browse it and I can read the Tripitaka. So everybody can be a Tripitaka Dhari now. You don't need to memorize it. I mean, why you bother so much? So you can carry the cell phone, Tripitaka Dhari. I'm not really, discouraging the learning, but we need to know, what's the purpose? So Buddha taught the Dhamma as a raft, just to cross, not to grasp. So we are grasping it, we are gathering more and more and stuffing it, but not really tasting it. Taste of the Dhamma is viraga, So, so beautiful, how beautiful the Buddha is preaching. Okay, virago dhammo virago setto dhammana, something like that. So, viraga, the dispassion, say the complete release of the mind. So, everything is for that. So, you can read, there is a beautiful sutta called Katavattu Sutta. So, Buddha emphasized all different kinds of discussions, all lending of your ears, you are hearing the Dhamma. All different kinds of meetings, all the learnings, all recitations are aiming at release of the mind. That's it. Release of the mind. So, there's a beautiful verse. You can read that Katukunda Jnanananda Thero's Magic of the Mind. So, he has used that verse as his, prologue to the book. Rani, when you can remember that? This... very beautiful, really beautiful. Anupada chittasa vimokko. Mantana, pattana, sotava dahanang, yadidang anupada chittasa vimokko. So all these different learnings, all the gatherings, all discussions, all recitations, lending, paying attention to Dhamma, all are meant for liberation of the mind, release of the mind, unattached state of the mind. So that is the crux. So all these meetings, all these discussions are aiming that, not gathering. So don't think that you have to gather all information, memorize everything and go home with loaded information. Forget everything. So if you are gathering information, you are touching from the wrong angle. Like Buddha giving that example, that you are holding the serpent from the tail. It will bite you. Yeah. Meditative breathing. Meditative reading.
Versus mechanical reading.
So, what is meditative reading? You can use the mic.
I don't know whether they say now sometimes if you were, I don't know whether I may get this wrong. Say if you have a hierarchy of bhavana is number 1, then listening to bana is number 2. Then where does reading come in?
No, listening and reading are very similar.
Right.
Because still you are gathering information, no?
Yeah.
So you are reading and you are at the surface, you store it.
Okay.
By the way, you don't need to store also. You can read.
Is it something to do with some active reading, like
Active reading.
meditative reading? Does it mean active
Passive?
reading? You
I
think
don't know.
about it, you relate it to your life and whatever.
Uh-huh.
Maybe.
Up to you. Yeah, please pass the mic. Yeah.
The last part of that.
Yeah.
Does Buddhist philosophy connect different levels of thinking to construct vijnana, ahara?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the thing. So we keep on thinking, and actually I have to elaborate that. So actually the consciousness has to land upon either in the rupa aggregate, the form aggregate, or on the feeling aggregate, or on the perceptions aggregate, or on the fabrications. That means the formations aggregate. Vijnana either has to associate the rupa khanda, or the vedana khanda, sanya khanda, or sanskara khanda. So it can't simply, this landing consciousness or the established consciousness needs some support. Either the rupa or vedana or sanya or sankhara. So, can you read the question again? Last one.
Does Buddhist philosophy connect different levels of thinking to construct vijnana, ahara?
Yeah, that's the thing. So we can say, so now when your consciousness is established in the rupa, it is taking the rupa ahara, we can say in a way. Kabalinkara ahara, something like that. So when it is landing on the feelings, maybe another level of ahara, another level of establishment. When it is into the perceptions, another level of establishment. And when into the formations, another level of establishment. All different establishments, different homes. And when thinking, consciousness is well engaged in it, it has a good home. So when your mind is filled with a lot of information, images, signs, perceptions, it has a good home. Consciousness has a good home. And various, feelings are there, you are attracted to them, you are repelled from them. All these feelings are a good home to the consciousness. And when you are seeing something and fully engaged in it, what you see, when you are hearing something and you are fully engaged with what you hear, like that, all the senses, all that sense information, all are a good home to the consciousness. What we call the nimittanusare vijnanam hoti. So your mind is again and again associating all these nimittas, all these signs. So well engaged consciousness. You know that name and form is tangled in it. The trapped. Consciousness is trapped in name and form. Well engaged. But Buddha is showing a different type of consciousness as well. That is a completely disengaged kind of consciousness. A type of released consciousness, unestablished consciousness. So that is only possible through Vipassana. Knowing that this is a trap, knowing that form aggregate is a trap, knowing the feeling aggregate is a trap, knowing the perceptions aggregate is a trap, knowing the fabrications, the formations aggregate is a trap. So that is the Vipassana. Knowing their adinava, you are knowing the danger. It is impermanent, it is unsatisfactoriness, it is non-self, all that the Vipassana information, the wisdom, ultimately helps the mind to disengage the whole thing. Release the whole thing. Now it is unestablished. Appatittita vijnana. So this is the aim of the practice in a way. So how to dislodge, how to disengage, how to abandon this attachment so that the mind is released. Okay, I think I answered the question. Yeah.
Venerable Bhante, I raised this question sometimes back also, but again I thought to raise the same questions after reading this Anapanasati Sutta with our practices. So there are about 16 steps that is described in Anapanasati Sutta, and we practice certain things like breathing in short, breathing in long, and
it is
so
not
on.
that we are purposely breathing in long or short.
Yeah, it says breathing in long. We discriminate, I am breathing in long or breathing out long. That means what we practice actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but there are certain things are there. It says, he trained himself, I will breathe in calming body fabrication. And he trained himself, I'll be breathing out calming bodily fabrication.
Yeah, bodily fabrication. That
Yes.
the Kaya Sankhara is the breathing itself.
Likewise, there are about 16 steps are here.
Correct.
But actually, are we really need to apply these things when we are doing practically, when we are doing breathing meditation? Or
No. It is not. We are not supposed to artificially introduce any of these.
Yeah.
So rather, it has to naturally get into these stages. So you allow the breathing to naturally evolve to these different stages.
Yeah.
So your task is to mere observe the whole process. Then the breathing will evolve to these different stages. We can't also say that we are touching exactly the same order, same precise these things. This is a kind of a roadmap.
Yeah, that's right, because there are certain things like it says, he trained himself, I'll be breathing, focusing on recreations and train himself. Like, that kind of a conceptual level, it goes up to the deeper level.
Actually, there's a fair assembly or fair parallel process, fair parallel experience can happen. So Buddha's guideline is fairly precise. So I mean, for some actually might not be able to precisely touch each and every step, but there may be people who can touch each and every step.
Yeah.
So therefore Buddha's guideline is quite correct. So it's giving us some indication, okay, you are at this level, you are at this milestone.
Yeah.
So your task is simply to observe breathing and allow it to happen naturally, evolve naturally. And there, once you reach a certain milestone, okay, Buddha say, okay, now you are at the Vedanānupassana level. Now you are at the Citta-Anupassana level. Now you are at the Dhamma-Anupassana level. So likewise, Buddha has given the roadmap.
Because we generally practice 1 or 2, I like. Say breathing short, then the temperature that we just...
And on the other thing is, this is one technique, by the way. There are other techniques also. Don't think that everybody has to follow the same techniques. Anapanasati is the only method.
Yeah, that's why the same question that I asked. If you are going to do that artificially, we are trying to...
No, we are not supposed to artificially introduce any of these. Rather, it has to naturally go through these steps.
Yeah. So in one section it says, I am breathing in to release the mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. So rather, so you are looking at now, that is coming under the Citta-Anupassana section.
Right.
Okay, now this whole 16 steps are divided into 4 groups. First 4 into the Kaya-Anupassana, second 4 into Vedana-Anupassana, next 4 into Citta-Anupassana, last 4 into Dhamma-Anupassana. So the releasing of the mind happens at the Citta-Anupassana level. So at that time you are simply watching the mind. You let go of the body altogether, no feelings also, feelings in the sense you are not paying attention to the feelings, but now you are simply paying attention to the mind. There may be various signs, there may be various thoughts. Rather than encouraging thinking or promoting thinking, now you see, step back and see how thoughts are coming and going. How mental images, signs, perceptions are coming and going, not being trapped in them. So slowly, they also abandon the mind, naturally. It is not that you are pushing them away. Rather, they naturally will be abandoned in the mind. Now the mind is very clean, very clear. Nothing is there. Free mind.
That's the meaning of releasing
Correct.
the mind.
Now the mind is freed.
Right.
So you have achieved the freedom of the mind by not attaching to any of the phenomena coming to the mind. Any Dhamma coming to the mind is not attracted. You are not involved with it. You are not desiring any of them. You simply mind your own business and they will go. And you enjoy the emptiness now. Empty mind. relaxed mind, signless mind, unattached mind, all different names are there. Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah.
Reverend Bhante, now connecting to the former question also, I think there's a relationship that what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Now, Vitakka Vichara, how we can actually recognize these and how they are embodied in the meditation process. Now, when we start Anapanasati, now a lot of thoughts come to mind at the beginning. In the first phase of the meditation session. Now, as I explained yesterday also, now in my case also, a lot of things come to my mind,
right.
And I was struggling kind of thing to understand, identify what kind of thought, and to get rid of it.
So how are you going to get rid of it?
The next thing also comes. Another thought comes. So, likewise, it's a chain like.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If our mindfulness is not yet sharp enough, so we can't immediately overcome thinking.
Yes.
So no point of trying that. So better be with the body. Further and further being with the breathing or understanding the bodily phenomena, how they are evolving. So that further improves the sharpness of the mind, further improves the wisdom. Then later you can naturally watch the mind, and the thoughts are also very much like weakened, and they come one after the other.
Yeah.
So you can easily see their nature also. Then naturally they will go away from the mind.
So at considerable phase of time, the speed of coming these thoughts is going down.
Reduce, exactly.
Reduce.
Say for example, number of thoughts per minute.
Yeah,
for example.
Reduced. Yeah, that I feel it. And then slowly it goes further down.
Exactly.
And then only we become to a state like, no thoughts as such.
Exactly. Now, and another advantage is, during that period, take the advantage that you can look at a thought one after the other. So you see the full lifespan of the thought or life cycle of the thought. It is appearing and then it disappearing. It has gone. Another one appearing and then disappearing, it's also gone. Another one appearing, disappearing, it's also gone. So you are learning from that. Okay, thoughts are also conditioned phenomena. They also show the same nature. They show the characteristics of coming and going, appearance and disappearance, so arising and passing away. All conditioned phenomena are showing these characteristics. That's a very, very important insight.
Yeah, actually they are not connected to each other, and also sometimes they are overlapping. Yes, can't recognize also whether this is a particular thought or several thoughts at the same time. So this is how it happens, and what is Vitakka Vichara and
actually now even say you are watching this particular thought. So Vitakka is where your attention is landed onto this thought now.
Yeah.
And you are examining the thought indicates the Vichara.
Right.
So Vitakka is you are paying attention to that, particularly among many things. Say you are paying attention to this particular thought.
Kind of
so that is the Vitakka. And then you are investigating that is the Vichara.
That's recognizing and
knowing, okay, this is a lustful thought or this is an angry thought, whatever.
And that's the type of the thought.
Type of the thought, whether it is the beginning or the middle or the end. Likewise.
Kind of the underneath, whether it's a hatred, kind of thought.
Yeah, exactly. If you know the content of it, that is also coming as a result of the Vichara.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vitakka Vichara does not mean that some rough level thinking. Rather, even when mind is silent, you can pay attention to something. You can land upon your attention onto a particular object. That is also Vitakka. Yes. And examining it, that is Vichara. Yeah.
Namaskar.
Okay, then we have spent fair amount of time discussing Dhamma. Thank you very much for active participation. And maybe we'll have the Dhamma sermon around 4:15.